Okay, starting with Leslie here. Leslie, you're going to draw or tell me what like a picture is. It's like a birthday card. So it's like, it's a photo of an old man fishing or it's a drawing of a cute deer. So you're going to like say the thing and then, and then let's just have then Sarah will say what the text is for that birthday card and then we'll rotate. And then so Sarah will draw the picture or tell me the photo and then I'll say what's on it. Cool. And the birthday cards.
Okay. It's a praying mantis sitting on a leaf with a ladybug. That's the card.
And underneath it says, you the mantis.
That's pretty good.
I love that.
All right, what you got?
Okay, so it is for a birthday card. It is a set of bowling pins, and all of them are down except for one, but there's a bowling ball heading toward it.
One more left, baby.
Dark.
Okay, it is a sad farmer, and behind him is just withered crops for miles and miles, and there's a vulture overhead.
Don't quit, man. Just keep going, bro. Happy birthday.
Let's do another round.
Sorry, I really walked you into my same card on accident. But, okay, so it's Leslie.
Okay, it's my turn. Okay. All right, here we go. It's a guy on a deserted island, and he has a radio by him, and the radio has little things coming out of it, like music things. But
and the caption says, "This one goes out to the birthday boy wherever you are."
Yeah.
Since he remembered his birthday, that's nice. All right, Alex, this one is people outside of a movie theater pissed and they're ripping up their ticket stubs and throwing them on the ground. 3 people.
Nobody liked your movie, but sequels are big these days. Here's to next year. Okay, it's clearly prom. And all of the girls are all on the side dressed in their nice dresses and they're all sad and fuming and all the boys are dancing together and kissing at the prom.
Sucks that your birthday's in Pride Month. You got this.
Good job. Yeah, all right. Let's get started.
Birthdays are for the boys. All right.
Welcome to the Goofball Coalition, the podcast that lives where improv and stand-up collide. And now, here's your hosts, Alex Knight and Sarah Kennedy.
Oh, hey! Look at this!
Hi.
It's the Goofball Coalition, the podcast where improv and stand-up and sketch form some sort of like alliance in space.
Like the recycling symbol. It's the 3 arrows that feed into each other.
We're recycle, reuse, and reduce all together.
Reuse.
That's so nice.
Number 1, thank you to Matthew Bloodsmith for doing the voiceover of our intro. However, we're going to need him to update it because now Leslie is a part of the team. And so we've got the full Venn diagram. And we're going to like dive in and talk about all of that. So Leslie, thank you for being here on a more permanent basis.
Welcome.
Thank you. I'm very excited. Comedy.
Yeah, I think it'll be really good. And today's show is kind of like a real homage to really sketch comedy in particular, because during your episode, a 2-parter, by the way, you did mention how much SNL meant to you and how much Saturday Night Live like is kind of like entrenched in the way that you approach and have dove into comedy. That also happens to be the same case for me. And Alex, you're a fan, right?
Yeah. Like, but sometimes not. I don't know. Like, yeah, I have problems sometimes, which are nitpicky and stupid, but we'll get into it all because it's a hard job.
Yeah.
That they're doing.
So today's episode is just going to be all of us talking about SNL, the good, the bad. There was a recent person on the internet who said that none of the people who have ever been cast on SNL were attractive, and so I guess the ugly. Yeah, I know. That's exactly that was the reaction the internet had too, where people were like, "That's not true, though," and then they were like, they went through it and they.
I mean, that's just some clickbait. There's been how many people in that cast?
Yeah. So
really, how many? Like 500? No, how many?
That's
like there's
yeah.
How many years? 40, 50?
40, 75.
40 years.
October 11th, 1975.
10 cast members.
Is that what you just did you say the number?
No, the premiere date was October 11th, 1975.
And as of October 2023, SNL has had 164 cast members total.
That's it? Oh.
Well, I mean, it's one whole season with the cast.
How many characters? They tricked me because they all played so many characters. I thought there's at least 500 of them.
There's a ton.
Kenan Thompson alone. 500.
We ran him off. Okay, so Leslie, let's talk a little bit about your history with SNL. Like, what your first cast? Like, when did you come to SNL and when did you start watching it?
I came to SNL probably early 90s, I would say. But also, like, it was that weird time when Dana Carvey, John Lovitz, Phil Hartman, but it blended into Chris Farley, Adam Sandler, David Spade. So it was that like rainbow of cast.
Good cast.
Yes. That was the funniest one.
Me too. I think so. I mean, I remember like right before that, like John Lovitz, and like right before that, I remember like as a kid being like not sure what it was, like liking it, but like, and then hearing my friends talk about Saturday Night Live and like a sketch and like not knowing even what that was. And like, it was just such a cool thing to not know what sketch comedy was and then to like figure it out through them. And they're the ones that taught me for sure. So that cast and that group, like it felt like that Chris Kattan era was like my generation, and like the ones before were the ones I met, but like that was the one that I don't know resonated with me for better or worse. That was my cast.
Oh, Chris Kattan's generation was great too.
There's some good ones. Yeah,
that was mine too. Like right around like Cheerleaders, like Mary Shannon era. So, but I will say I also was obsessed with catching up on the reruns. And during summer break, they would show it on Comedy Central like hours a day. So I watched everything from the first seasons through the bad '80s ones up to John Lovitz and everything, and then passing through. So. And then I think that there was another time, like maybe because I was so busy in college that I missed a lot of the like kind of Amy Poehler-y, like a little bit later Amy Poehler, like a Rachel Dratchy kind of era of things too. And then I picked back up a little later after that.
That was a good era too, because there was a lot of strong ladies. A lot of them. Really.
It felt like my generation was a lot of unique male voices, and then then it transitioned into like Molly Shannon specifically and Rachel Dratch. And
Rachel Dratch, Maya Rudolph, Amy Poehler, Tina Fey, Kristen Wiig. Like it was just like that whole bubble of hilarious.
I think when Kristen Wiig was like really finding her footing, that's when I really came back to it. So then it was like Kristen Wiig, Kate McKinnon, and onward. Then I keep up with it almost every week.
Right? Yeah. Same. Yeah, I might not like it every week, but I still watch it.
And again, I think that's it. It's like I don't like it all, but my gosh, that job is really hard.
It is
to do that, to curate the sketches for the guest and all that kind of stuff as well. And like, and the guests are a huge part. Some of them are great. Some of them must be miserable to work with. Anyone know who makes that call? Who gets on as guests?
It's a combination of a few different.
Got to be a ton of factors. Yeah.
Right. They look up like ahead to like what's premiering or and who can we get that's good for the holiday episode versus the season finale. Like I feel like they do kind of plan that out.
Definitely. Have you guys seen the documentary that Andy Samberg made? I think it's just all about, they follow an episode from absolute beginning until it's over, and it's with the guest for that week is James Franco, which is kind of a dud. But the actual episode is, the documentary is so cool because they go from just the pitching to when they stay up all night on Tuesdays, and then like doing the real read through, and then the dress rehearsal, and how cutthroat it is at like every level and what gets cut. It's wild.
And how it's even like, because I haven't seen that. and I really want to, because I have that Live from New York
Yes.
book that's just like, but I remember taking that workshop from John Lutz, and he told us kind of that week, and he told us even up to writing or the night of the show with the sketch being on, them having to cut for time, so they had to like redo their sketches as it's on. How? I don't even know why I ever thought I could. That's so stressful.
I do think the day that it's expected of everybody to stay overnight is just what a wild thing to ask of a workplace, but they do.
Yeah.
I was watching an interview with Chloe Feynman. She does all the impressions and stuff, and she was saying that she used to spend the night, and then now she makes sure that she's got some boundaries and she goes home. But she's also established enough on the cast that people write for her and they know what she's capable of. So I don't think she has to fight for it as much.
That's what I always wanted. I wanted a writer partner, and then they would just know what you're good at, and then they could just write it for you, and then you could just do it.
How hard to find your writer partner?
I know.
Like, I know a lot of writers have it. I know some TV show writers, they often pair up with a person, at least like when they're starting, and like, yeah. Who does, like, I was watching a bunch of sketches today, and it is like, it's not very clear who writes them. Like, where's that credit? That credit's definitely somewhere. You can find out who wrote every sketch, I'm sure. But it's interesting that is not freely given. And then you almost always give credit to the performers, which a lot of times, like, they're doing the performance for sure. But like, I bet there's a lot of people that I give no credit to that are really funny people that I even am probably aware of now that wrote all these sketches and stuff.
Yeah, I wish they did that too. I know, and I don't know why I do this, but like when they do the credits, I usually pause on the writer, and I try to see like who's here for this season, who left.
Oh yeah, but they don't say specifically which one, right?
Exactly.
See,
you just know there's a writer's room.
They've gotten better. If a sketch goes viral, of like they'll release like a press release about it, and then there's usually like an interview or like an oral history of that sketch, like the Lisa from Temecula sketch from I think 2 seasons ago, where Ego is like cutting the steak and it's shaking the whole table and it's knocking everything over and making everybody break. Yeah. Then in a sketch like that, they do bring on the writer, and that happened to be Alex English, who's an amazing dude, and they kind of ask everybody how the sketch comes to be, and it's a neat way to kind of break it down. But that's only very, very recent, and there's sometimes in like Live from New York, the book, they'll do that too. But
right, and there's actually another podcast that just started called The Lonely Island, and Seth Meyers, and they talk about at least the sketches or digital sketches that they've done, and then kind of weave in some other stuff. But like, you just know what they've done on that podcast. But it is so interesting to see how they've come up with stuff. Yeah,
man, that digital shorts, like when those first happened, even like those 2 words together were like, you knew that was going to be good. All of those hit for so long.
Yeah, they were awesome.
Like Lazy Sunday and like Natalie Portman.
This week, did you see that an AI article about Natalie Portman smoking?
Was
generated, and it pulled from that song and said that she did drugs while she was in college, and like quoted her verbatim from her rap, and then so it's like,
stupid robot.
Oh my god, AI! Come on, that's hilarious.
Have either of you seen one of the tapings live on SNL?
Kelly and I got to go to a dress rehearsal. And man, I was so excited. I was like, man, this is gonna be such a good one. And then the host was Charles Barkley, which
he's paying for things.
Yeah, he did a pretty good. He's a good sport, Yeah. But yeah,
that is so cool.
You get picked. You don't get to pick. So
yeah, it's all lottery. I've never been able. I knew people that knew Vanessa Bayer on Saturday Night Live. She was in an improv team in Chicago. They were all best friends, and so they got to go. And I didn't want to be one of those people that was like, "Hey, I know you who knows someone. If you could just send me, I want to go." Like
in the Bayer Den,
right?
What was that experience like? Do they? Yeah, I guess it was a rehearsal, so it's a little different, maybe.
They try to do it as like it's going to be on the show, so
sure.
They can really get a real litmus test for what they absolutely have to cut if they have to cut anything.
Gotcha.
And by the time we got home afterwards, it was on. And so it was really wild to like see them do it again. And so that was pretty neat. But
That's neat.
Huh.
That never crossed my mind. That people at the dress rehearsal could go home and be like, boop, what did they pick?
Yeah. And it was Migos as the music guest, and they performed during the dress rehearsal too. Like they don't go like hold for music guests, they come and perform too, so they can get out all the like kinks and
Kinks
stuff.
in that too, yeah. Huh.
The studio is really very small, and so for as much there's 3 spots where they can set up for sketches, and they'll be setting up one while the other one is going, and then they like tear everything down like right away. And it's pretty wild. Like,
do they move the audience, or no? The audience can see all 3 of the spots.
There's like a floor chunk of the audience where you like usually see in the monologue when people got like the Q&As and that kind of stuff. And then there's like these 2 kind of bowls around it, but it's tiny. It's like it's a really, really small space.
So you guys gotta like laugh, right?
Yeah.
Like it is kind of a job.
Yeah.
Well, maybe at the dress, maybe not, because that is more of a like, let us know if they're funny or not.
Yeah,
that's
but I mean,
true. Yeah. Did you ever find yourself like forcing a laugh, or were you
no.
just not conscious of that? Didn't care? Just
I was so elated just to be in there. Like it was so cool. And they do a thing before the show, and it's kind of how the Blues Brothers got started too. Is before the show starts, they have these like music performances done by the cast where they'll come out and just like sing oldies and like do a little like variety show moment. And so for that one, even for the dress rehearsal, they did that, and we had Cecily Strong came out and she kind of did like a full Tina Turner thing with some of the other girls in the background, and it was so neat. It was really cool.
Huh.
I love her. She's so good.
Schmigadoon is so good. If you guys haven't seen that
I love it. And Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
It's so good.
All right. Okay. Our episodes are only so long. So let's talk about some favorites and some least favorites. Do we want to talk about a favorite?
Like our favorite from our opening the cast that we grew up with.
This was hard. This was really hard. Like I just started to like dig, and there's just so many sketches. And even now when you type like best ones, it brings you best of like the last 10 years, which I'm like very unfamiliar with. And like, I don't know, it's crazy to like, and then there was like best of the 70s. And so all the best of the 70s are like great because they've curated from a whole decade, or they've plucked like, so I don't know. So there's a bias in that where I'm like, nah, these new ones aren't good. It's like, well, but if we boiled them down to like the best ones, they're pretty good. They're pretty funny. And like, but yeah, so sorry. But like, yeah, this was hard, very difficult to start digging and then be like, oh my God, that one. Like all the commercials, those old commercials from like, I don't know, just forever.
The Crystal Gravy.
That one specifically in my head all the time.
Or the one with Chris Farley and Adam Sandler at the pool. Yeah.
What's the jeans? Mom jeans is good.
Mom jeans.
There's so many.
The one that like I can just like think of my quintessential like one that I loved when I first started watching it, because when I first started watching it was like a struggle to stay up, right? So you get to Weekend Update, and by then I was not intelligent enough to care about Weekend Update, right?
Yeah.
I don't care about the news or your jokes about the news. Well, I would fall asleep. So I always miss the wacky ones that they put at the end of the show. But the one I remember is that Delta, can I help you? Help you? Yeah. The fraternities and the sorority. It was so stupid.
I don't think I remember that one.
But like, it just made me laugh so much. And
what's the premise? It's just stupid sorority and frat people?
It's Jan Hooks and not Nora Dunn, but the other girl, or it might be Nora Dunn, but they are sorority sisters, and they're all in the same sorority. That's Delta.
Yeah. And then like Mike Myers is like fraternity, and they're like super bros. And then whenever they answer the phone, they go, Delta, can I help you? Like, what's the premise?
But like, this is almost for me, some of it too is like some of these sketches maybe aren't like the cast members are such a huge part of it. Like when I was digging around, like anything with Will Ferrell, and it's like so fucking funny. Like it's certain cast members that like can carry it for their whole entire time that they're part of the cast.
Yeah.
My favorite sketch from my like first era of SNL is, and it's maybe my favorite sketch of all time, but it's from when Lucy Lawless hosted, and she's Xena. But even if I didn't even have not seen an episode of Xena, I still would have liked this sketch the best because she plays Stevie Nicks. And the premise of the sketch is that now Stevie Nicks lives in Tempe, Arizona, and she's opened a Tex-Mex restaurant. And so basically it's a commercial for Stevie Nicks Fajita Roundup. And she's just singing all these like Fleetwood Mac songs and Stevie Nicks songs, but they're all about Mexican food. And like it's very, very, very funny. And it's because of the music rights, it's really, really hard to find on the internet, but sometimes you can find a little clip of it here and there. And they've even written an article about it, just being like, why are people obsessed with this one really weird SNL sketch? But it's good. And Lucy Lawless does a great Stevie Nicks impression, so it like totally reads.
That's great.
I mean, can any of you explain like why David Pumpkins was so like, why is that? Why was that so popular? And it's funny. It's very funny.
Well, and I think it goes back to like, I mean, maybe I don't want to say the collective people love dumb, but like that's kind of what, you know, me and the Doodles love, because we just, everything's so dumb. Like, let's just make it the dumb.
Sure. And I guess Tom Hanks is someone that you have respected in so many ways, and to see that person be so vulnerably stupid, just unapologetically stupid. Yeah.
But also like the game of it, right? So if you even take just like some UCB kind of rules about the game, it's really fun for it to be like, he's a stranger in a, I guess the people in the elevator, he's not a stranger in a stranger world. He's definitely a pea in a pod because everybody around him accepts him as part of the thing. But the actual people in the elevator cannot get over the idea that he's part of a haunted house, whereas everything else is very scary.
Yeah.
And then it just goes over and over and over itself to justify him being there. Like when Leslie, okay, I can't remember her last name too, but she's like the chainsaw person, and she goes, "I'm crazy." And like, crazy for David S. Pumpkins. You think it's getting back to form, but it's still all about
yeah. And so they just putting all of their money into this not scary thing for a haunted house. Or a haunted elevator or whatever. Oh.
And I'm trying to figure it out. Where it's like, is he from like a local commercial or something? And then they're like, no. Like,
yeah, that one hit pretty hard for the public. I don't know. It's just so weird. Like, I wonder what the math is. I mean, as a company that has been creating it for so long, I'm sure they are slightly aware of, in some way, the math of, even more so, you know, like you just said, we can see the math in some of these, but like, why some hit and some don't?
Yeah. Or why do some hit and then they do them again and they don't hit?
Oh, when that character comes back?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I have a theory.
When they misgauge that one, you're like, no, they shouldn't be back.
Yeah.
What's your theory?
I have like, it's silly, but I have like advice. Like, so that lady from Temecula, right, with the steak, that was the funniest thing. And how have I forgot my husband's name? Who's the guy that hosted
from that episode?
Yeah, Pedro Pascal.
Yes.
Oh, yes,
my husband.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, we talk anyway. But he was laughing because it was so silly, and she was doing the mask, made the mask. It was all funny. And then they did it again in another restaurant. Yeah. And I'm like, no, this is a fully formed character that Ego Nwodim like has. Like, she can probably do this character anywhere. Mm-hmm. So put her in another premise. Mm-hmm. Make her the fully realized character. That character goes to the bank. That character
at a funeral.
You know, at a funeral. Like, put her somewhere else. You still do something. It'll be hilarious. Like, why?
When they don't move far enough away.
Yeah, and they keep just repeating.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, like Mango. Mango was funny, but Mango definitely. I remember being like, another Mango sketch. Even as a kid, I would have loved that. It was
the episode of Garth Brooks is one of the best episodes of that era because he gets a Mango. He gets there's so much stuff that they put him through. He gets one of the best Will Ferrell sketches ever, where the devil is trying to help him write a love song, and he sucks at songwriting. It's like, and he's such a good sport about it the whole time. And then I think the music guest is Chris Gaines, which makes it extra like.
That's really good. What a layer.
That Chris Gaines era, man. Yeah.
Chris Gaines is Garth Brooks' alter ego, if people do know, correct? Right. Yes.
I hope
That
it's
you find on the internet. This is another one of those like little internet treasures that I keep. Is that you
Oh,
can
is-
find the fake behind the music that they made for Chris Gaines to explain who his character was. It's genius. It was not on SNL. It has nothing to do with that, but it is.
Is it a Garth Brooks product?
It's
An official Garth Brooks product?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So, and they like interview him like he's like really it, and like all these people who knew him from before, the
Yeah.
horrible car accident that disfigured his face and made him look like Garth Brooks, which is my favorite part of the lore. Oh man.
It felt like when Michael Jordan played baseball for a bit.
Mhm.
It's the same
Yeah.
kind of pivot, and we
A little
didn't
bit.
allow it.
Wow.
Well, speaking of Michael Jordan, do you remember Stuart Smalley? And then he made Michael Jordan look in the mirror because he was like, I don't know, man. Well, I'm good enough, smart enough, and doggone it, people like me.
I mean, yeah. There's some quotes. There's some things that are from SNL that you forget that's where that DNA even kind of came from. Some of that stuff has
Yes.
become so part of culture, or even the movies like Wayne's World, Coneheads, any number of them, Ladies' Man's.
So, what's your favorite and least favorite SNL movie?
I mean, Wayne's World's pretty great. I really like that.
It's quintessentially on its own list.
Yeah, that's just like a solid movie.
Yeah.
It almost like does. Yeah, it's hard to remember that's where that even came from. It's so
Right.
strong on its own, which is so cool. Because I mean, I don't know if those characters existed from like their older Groundlings lives or if they made them just for SNL. But like either way, plotting that whole journey would be amazing if it was a character from a class that they carried.
Right. I just came across TikTok or something. It was like an old interview of Mike Myers as Wayne. I almost said Wayne Brady.
Wow, that's a wild impression.
It was wild. No,
Can you
as
stop
Wayne, but he's being interviewed by like a Canadian talk show host. So he's like on a talk show, and his wig is like not good. So it seems like it was the first time he ever did that character, or not first, but like very early on.
Mhm.
And the guy was asking him what's hip these days. he was like the whatever generation it was, like telling you what was hip these days, but it was Wayne.
Mhm.
It was really crazy.
I love that. I love when you can see their auditions, and then you can see like how like Will Ferrell's audition. You can see it online, and it was part of his DVD too. But he's got that dad character that he played a couple times. That's a repeating character that I thought actually was good, where he's like screaming at his kid while he's making small talk with the other adults.
Yes.
And that's from like the Sarah Michelle Gellar episode is one of the ones where he does that too, and he's like talking like "Get back on the bag," and he's like screaming.
Yeah.
And yeah, I love that one too. And he does that in the audition and a couple Dana Carvey. And we've talked about Dana Carvey on this podcast before, Alex. You and I about Chop and Broccoli. I think Dana Carvey
That
does.
stand-up special really influenced our lives quite a bit, Leslie.
I think I have that memorized as well when he does the she's flooded.
What?
Yeah, I love that stand-up.
I haven't rewatched. I'm very afraid to rewatch it and hope like if it still resonates with me.
Yeah.
But have either of you ever auditioned for SNL, like sent in a tape or anything?
I wrote packets for it for
you mentioned
2 or
this.
3 years.
Nice.
It's cool. It's the same thing every year, but they were doing. I had 1 year where my manager got me the chance to submit, and then they had 2 years where you could open submit, and then they shut that down real fast because too many people were submitting, and then now it's only through select managers and agents. But
Yeah.
it's the same thing. You have to write a original sketch and then a commercial parody, and then you get like 3 or 4 more pages of something else that you want to submit, like another sketch or maybe like a monologue idea or something like that, or something else that you've written.
Yeah.
I did a pretend packet, like with a writing class that I did. He made us do, because he was a writer on SNL in like the 80s. So he was like, let's do these packets. But like, yeah, I've never had the opportunity to do either. I attended a lot of like showcases at I.O. in Chicago for other people.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you just sit there seething. Your seat, like, why can't I get 5 minutes? Give me 5 minutes. But yeah, so yeah.
I sent in an audition tape a couple years ago. Somehow my manager got me one, and like, yeah, I had to do 3 impressions. And I don't like them. I don't like those. Like that's a really like, I don't know. like stopped me a little bit of even being wanting to be on that show in some ways. But yeah, it was super fun. And like, I'll try to dig it up. We could put it on our Patreon as a special treat. You can see my tape.
I'll put my packet up. I know I've got it somewhere.
Let's put them up.
My first packet, I wrote a monologue where all the cast members kept asking Taylor Swift if she was a Nazi. So I could see why I didn't get picked that year, but it was a big thing in the news, and I thought I gave her a chance to say, no, I'm not a Nazi, but, you know.
Yeah, mine were not contemporary. Like, my impressions were Crocodile Hunter, and I think he'd already died. Sure. Mary Shelley, who is not contemporary. And who was my third one? Oh, Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Oh, see, that's
but I can't do that. I can't do. He's a black man, but whatever. Either way, it was not great, but it's a funny tape, and it's really poorly. Like, it looks like an old 80s audition tape. It's grainy and shitty.
I used to do like readings for auditions. I was the reader on the other side of the camera, and I filmed it. And some people would come in and have to film their SNL tapes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you're just like, come on.
That's so like stressful.
It is. It was a lot.
Because I don't do impressionations. I don't do impressionations.
You don't even know what they're called.
I don't even know what they're called. I don't even know.
I mean, that said, good ones are great. It's just like, and maybe, it's just an insecurity, and I know they're not great, so I'm not going to put out a not great product. And if I really worked on them, I could be, but spending all my time pretending to be a specific other person it's just weird to give them that power, good or worse. I don't know.
I do think it's funny when Kenan Thompson would pretend to be Reba. That was like,
there's some good ones. I think, sometimes the further away, it's like, it's actually much better.
Yeah. Man, Kenan Thompson, man. He's the GOAT.
Yeah. He's been around forever now, huh?
Longest cast member now.
Wow.
He breaks a lot.
He does.
But he like almost can now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
people were talking about it was maybe going to get left to him when Lauren retires, which is a wild.
Oh, wow.
Which is okay. Let's talk about that then too before we go into segment 3. When Lauren Michaels retires, will it end, or who will be in charge of it? In your opinion?
It almost seems like things like that should go and like allow something else to take that space instead of it like constantly changing and like trying to be what it was and people being resentful for things not being ways things were. I just watched a long video about like all these Star Wars products and how people are like, oh, I don't like where it's going. And it's like, who has any right to know? Who owns, like, are these things sacred? People are like, it's sacred and you've messed it up. I don't know. So
right.
I feel sometimes things need to end, but that would be quite a void.
It would be wild. I almost feel like sometimes, and obviously I don't know what decisions he makes behind the scenes, but I almost feel like sometimes he holds
stuff back. Yeah.
So like if he does retire, then if they could at least try with someone new, or Kenan, if we have, since he's been around a long, I have no idea. You know, they love Tina Fey, bring her in. But
the other name that they've kind of thrown around that it was maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, she ran it in 30 Rock. She's like played the role.
She was the head writer from like 1999 through 2000 and some, and then she went off to do 30 Rock, and then
right.
Yeah, how much how much has that show changed, and how much has it stayed the same? Like, how many revolutions has it had? And I would almost argue not many. And sometimes that feels weird to me about it. Maybe is that it hasn't changed, but it certainly has for sure. Like content and tone and everything has changed, but. Have they how many times have they rebranded? Maybe would you two say?
Oh well, I mean they do different opening credits every year, so they all look like they look of their era. At
That's
least.
True. Right? That's true.
And then I always can tell like exactly what era it's in based on who's the like not the main cast but the featured players. Like like right before they become cast members.
Yes.
There's some crazy watching the old ones where I'm like, who's the host? Because that's a famous person, that's a famous person, that's a famous person. And then it turns out it was that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was Helen Hunt, by the way.
Oh, Helen Hunt.
Oh.
And that's a great one too with Hanson as the musical guest.
Oh. Yeah. It was the Bastard Airlines or whatever.
Like, that's one of my favorite ones too, because they hold Hanson like as hostage in a elevator, and they make them apologize for putting out Mbop. And they're like threatening them with guns, and then they each succumb to the song because the song is very catchy and it's playing over and over again.
It's really quite a good song.
Yeah,
it's catchy. I'll say that much.
Well, friends, any last thoughts? This is SNL is obviously a hyperfixation of mine, and
I mean,
I rewatched Jingleheimer Junction, and that one is very good.
they all got the letters on their.
That's the one where it's God. Who's the guest? Who is she? Who is she? I forget.
Diaz.
Is it? It's like Horatio Sands and Will Ferrell, and they're all letters at like a kid's like train thing, and they almost spell out fuck like 8 times, and Tim Meadows has to keep stopping them.
I love that.
So good.
It's so good.
There's just ones that are like, they're just like buried back in my head, and I've totally forgotten about all the Celebrity Jeopardies and stuff. Like,
oh my God, there's so much to like just discuss, and who of the new featured players do you like?
Bowen.
Oh, Bowen's so great. And then I can't remember his name, obviously, and that's just not good for any sort of podcast. But
I'm not familiar with this season. I just watched the top 5 of this year or whatever.
Oh, did you see?
It was Pedro Pascal's mom.
Yeah.
I mean, he's funny and he's good, but I didn't think it was that funny.
You didn't like that one?
I didn't like that one. I liked the Beavis and Butthead one. That one was pretty funny.
That one was so dumb.
That one got me. Just because that one was totally, again, weird and random. And I thought there might be some link, and there is not. It's 2 separate things. It's this conversation and then these random characters.
Right.
What were the other top 5? Oh, I forget.
Did you see the ABBA Christmas one where they had to sing? Oh man, that one's so funny, and it's because it was
Bowen.
Kate McKinnon's episode, but for some reason Kristen Wiig and Maya Rudolph were like all over that episode, and so then they all play ABBA with Bowen Yang, and they all like sing Christmas songs in the style of ABBA, but like in each other's faces and like really, really close to the camera, and it's really
they're in these weird like 70s face configurations. So one person's here and the other person's like, looking that way, and they're just like mouths are so close. And then Kristen Wiig keeps laughing, which is the best.
It's so fun. Then the other one I really, really liked this year was the one where the girl won't play Ticket to Ride because she's afraid of getting Jumanji'd. And then they're like, what does it mean that you're afraid of getting Jumanji'd? And so she's like,
I did say that one. Yeah, that one's good.
There's one that's kind of like that reminds me, and that's why it bugs me that they don't have writer credits, is that there's one about Weezer.
Oh yeah, with Matt Damon, and he's like screaming at the And
it's so random, and it was so funny because it was like, whose brain did that come from? Because it's so good. It was like Jumanji.
Yeah, I think it's probably the like template for that one too, because it is kind of that same, like it just escalates because the character won't let something go.
Right.
All right, friends, let's go to segment 3, and we'll close up shop here. And then I think honestly, it'd be kind of neat to do this if this goes on in perpetuity. Then let's do some more shows. Yeah, let's do it every year that we just recap SNL from the last year, and then
year. So yes.
All right. See you in a second.
Oh, that was perfect. I thought that break. That's
quick.
Shorter than that. So
we're
all taking a sip, like we're all getting ready to.
So here in segment 3, we usually just spend the time talking about like plugging our stuff, talking about our Patreon. I think now we need to add a new Patreon level for Team Sketch.
Ooh, bring it, Sketch.
So I'll add that, and so people might change their allegiances if people. You know what I mean? We could see some change.
And if they need convincing, I'm happy to talk about any sort of sketch, because there's a lot of sketch shows out there that we should talk about.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. We'll have to deep dive into all of them.
Do a Mad TV episode.
Yeah, they've all got their pros and cons.
Yeah,
for sure.
They do.
In Living Color.
Oh yeah, man.
Oh,
the Fly Girls.
I always thought of Jim Carrey as the crazy white guy on In Living Color. I didn't know his name.
I still think of him as.
Isn't that nice? What a nice flip there for sure.
Yeah.
The white guy.
The white guy.
Oh yeah, that was nice.
So what y'all got coming up here? Also, Leslie, please keep in mind these air way out of order. So if it's timely, talk about it somewhere else. But
I can't talk about this weekend.
Yeah. This weekend I've got actually I'm not in anything this week. I took the weekend off.
Nice work.
Nobody knows which weekend that is. But I took it off.
I mean, we've got our second Saturdays. It is coming up soon. I bet it'll hit. I bet this will hit before that. Second Saturdays, big old party time down at Comedy Corner.
I enjoy that entire night.
The best.
Yeah, it's a good night.
What a joy.
Yeah. So we've got shows every Friday and Saturday, stand-up comedy showcases, but then also we just announced this new partnership that we've got with, it used to be Cake, now it's going to be called Fuzzy Bunny, and they needed comedy shows earlier in the evening. So every Friday we've got a stand-up show with a traveling headliner and a local heavy hitter, and so we'll do those. It's a 200-seat space, so it's got a full bar and some food options, so it's neat to have your night that way. And then we'll immediately run over and do our 9:30 show at Second and Gold. So it's extra stuff. We have stuff that's like a $19 ticket. That's what it's going to cost over at Fuzzy Bunny. We've got free stuff that's over like Elvato every Thursday, and then Friday and Saturday and throughout we've got like different prices of different things. It's like,
there's no excuse. Money's no excuse. And if you've got it, give it. Go to the expensive show. Yeah. I went to Cake once for a Bad Bunny night. Now it's Fuzzy
Bunny. Yeah.
It was not my scene, but everyone was welcoming. But I definitely was not I was the crazy white guy, maybe. Crazy old white guy.
Right.
Yeah. It was a very young crowd of, what else? Anything else for anyone?
Man, I don't have much going on. Other than just being in the show,
Yeah. Every Friday, Saturday, 9.
Yeah. I think I put myself in the second Saturday, which was, I hope I'm in there. I said I was available, but I love second Saturdays and I love blue shows.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, do it.
See, look at that impression. That's great.
I mean, I don't know what this is.
It's Lauren Michaels and Dr.
Yeah, there you go.
Awesome. Well,
all right.
Everybody, thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you all next time.
Yeah, bye. Mwah. Thank you.